Tonight we lead with China. It's back to its old tricks, and if I may add, it's a fit candidate for Ripley's Believe It or Not. This is what Beijing did. First, it claimed that there is a consensus on the border. Then it hosted an event near the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh, and then China lectured the world on sovereignty. Leading the charge was their top diplomat, Foreign Minister Wang Yi. He says countries should respect territorial integrity. Couldn't agree more. He should tell this to his boss. Why does Xi Jinping not respect India's sovereignty? Of course, he did not talk about it. But the whole point of the speech was to send a message. China is not withdrawing troops. That is the message. It is giving lectures instead. So the border situation is not likely to improve soon. Wang Yi did not name India, but his choice of venue and words made it obvious. China's foreign minister was in Tibet, at a place called Nyingchi. Nyingchi is barely 160 kilometers from the border with India, from India's Arunachal Pradesh. And what was China doing there? Holding talks with neighbours. They called it the third Trans-Himalayan dialogue. Except India, all key neighbours of China participated in the dialogue. The attendees included Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Mongolia. All these countries sent their officials. Did New Delhi get an invite for this? Well, we don't know. But India has never participated at this forum. The previous two dialogues happened in 2018 and 2019. India was not there. And even if Beijing were to ask nicely, New Delhi had no reason to show up. Because Nyingchi has history. It is the hub for provocations related to India. It is strategically located right next to the Indian border. Nyingchi is an old military town. But in recent years, it has gained more importance. The Chinese military is adding assets here. The PLA keeps its mountain brigades in this town, and experts say Beijing is building more infrastructure here. It is adding highways and rail facilities. It is upgrading airports. Let me give you an example. In 2021, China completed a road and tunnel system. It connected Nyingchi to Medong County. Medong County is a remote area, but it sits on the India-China border. And Beijing has been building more roads and tunnels like these. The idea is to reduce travel time to improve connectivity from Chinese bases to the border with India. In fact, I have some numbers. Earlier, the distance from Nyingchi to the border was more than 300 kilometers. But with the new roads and tunnels, it is almost halved to less than 180 kilometers. Travel time has been reduced by 8 hours. Recently, Xi Jinping visited this region, to Nyingchi in particular, and he praised the border guard battalion here. The Chinese president said they're doing a quote-unquote great job in guarding the border region. So when Wang Yi talks about the border, he's obviously sending a message to Delhi. We have his full statement. And this is what he said: we must adhere to mutual respect and trust, jointly maintain regional unity and respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Now, if you followed recent events, you know what Beijing is getting at. China claims almost the entire state of Arunachal Pradesh. They say it's theirs. And this claim has no basis in history or fact. The international community does not recognize China's claims, but Beijing still chooses to assert them. And recently, it has doubled down. In the month of April, the Chinese government released a list. It assigned Chinese names to areas in Arunachal Pradesh, and this was not a first. Beijing marks some territories in Arunachal and gives them what it calls standardized names. It has released 3 such lists so far, at least 3. In 2017, in 2021, and then again in 2023, this year. And renaming territories is just one tactic. Beijing also releases incorrect maps. The latest one came in August. It showed Arunachal Pradesh within China's borders. They call it South Tibet. And the third tactic is to issue staple visas. Beijing does it for Indians from certain regions like Kashmir and Arunachal. It's their way of conveying that these are not Indian territories. Before the Asian Games, China targeted athletes from Arunachal. They were given stapled visas so they could not compete in the Games. And they did the same in July. India protested on both occasions, but China refused to change course.
China doesn't recognize the so-called Arunachal Pradesh province you mentioned. The southern Tibetan region is part of China's territory.
And now we have Wang Yi's statement. The message for New Delhi is clear. Expect more of the same from Beijing. 3 years ago, China escalated border tensions in Ladakh, and now it is exerting pressure in Arunachal. India is preparing to counter the PLA on all these fronts. Last month, India sanctioned new posts. These are called Border Intelligence Posts, or BIPs. They're meant to monitor the border, track the military build-up and the transgressions, if any. These posts are manned by intelligence officials, and they're drawn from different services like the Army, the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, the Intelligence Bureau, IB, and the Research and Analysis Wing, or RAW. The exact number of these posts has been kept a secret for obvious reasons, but here's what we know. Each post will have 4 to 5 officers on duty. They'll be stationed along the line of actual control, the de facto border between India and China. And their job will be to observe and report. India is also making a major push in border infrastructure. And infra and intel are both critical if New Delhi wants to counter China. Wang Yi's statement only reinforces the need for such efforts.